Fellow citizens, the People's Court is now in session. My name is Ifeanyi Chukwu Okonkwo, and I am your forum advocate. With me in the studio are
Chizoba Chukwudi.
and
and Osaroge Ogbon.
distinguished citizens of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The People's Court is the people's arena for petition and public agitation for good governance. It is a platform to help us remain active participants in our democracy and to recognize our responsibilities and duty for good governance and the fruits of our democratic process. Fellow citizens, in the public petition, because there is no pending case, we have brought the people to the court about their responsibility to understand the leg and purport of our coming together as a people. That leg and coming together of our people is captured in the philosophy of our constitution as represented in the motto of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, which is unity and faith, peace and progress. And anybody working against any of these principles of our democratic coming together is against our progress and development. The question is, are the Nigerian politicians manifesting their agenda to achieve these objectives? That is what we have to examine today in the People's Court. And you, as the jury, will be more than active participants to re-examine and interrogate what we owe ourselves and the country. Fellow citizens, I will draw you again to this motto of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, which is captured in section 15 sub 1 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended, which is unity and faith, peace and progress. We as citizens are obliged as follows: to abide by the Constitution, respect its ideals and its institutions, the Nigerian flag, the national anthem, the national pledge, and legitimate authorities, to help to enhance the power, prestige, and good name of Nigeria, defend Nigeria, and render such national service as may be required of us, to respect the dignity of other citizens and the rights and legitimate interests of others, and live in unity and harmony and in the spirit of common brotherhood, to make positive and useful contribution to the advancement, progress, and well-being of the community where we reside, to render assistance to appropriate and lawful agencies in the maintenance of law and order, to declare our income honestly, to appropriate and lawfully, to pay our taxes promptly. These are the creed that will power the philosophy of our unity, which is captured in unity and faith, peace, and progress. Distinguished citizens, have we the faith in what the Nigerian state promised us all as social objective founded on the ideals of freedom, equality, and justice? If you will examine your constitution, particularly in section 17 sub 1, Sub 2 and Sub 3 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended, there are certain unalienable promises that we have made to ourselves. Those promises are captured specifically in Section 17, Sub 1, Sub 2, and Sub 3 of the Constitution. And if you pick up your Constitution, you will see what the state has promised every Nigerian, that by abiding faith in our nation, that we shall reap the benefit. Every citizen shall have equality of rights, obligations, and opportunities before the law. The sanctity of the human person shall be recognized, and human dignity shall be maintained and enhanced. The governmental actions shall be humane. Exploitation of human or natural resources in any form whatsoever for reasons other than the good of the country shall be prevented. And then it goes on and on. And I want you, fellow citizens, let it be very clear to us all that majority of the responsibilities owed to the Nigerian citizens are captured in Chapter 2 of our Constitution. The fundamental objectives and directive principles of state policy, capsulated between Section 17 and Section 32 of the said Constitution. Fellow citizens, permit me to draw your attention to one of the best decisions of the Supreme Court of Nigeria in ventilating the rights of citizens and responsibility the state owes us as a people. And this is specifically legendary, captured in a decision by the Supreme Court of Nigeria in the case of Olafisoya against Federal Republic of Nigeria, and it is reported in 2004, Volume 4, Nigeria Weekly Law Report, Part 864 at page 50. Fellow citizens, I want us to drink from the fountain of a learned jurist, Toby J.S.C., who opened our eyes about the rights owed to us under the Chapter 2 of our Constitution, to the effect that the directive principle in the Constitution becomes justiciable. And at page 64 of the judgment reported, paragraphs E to G, the learned jurist had this to say, and I quote, that the directive principle require to be implemented by legislation. And so long as there is law carrying out the policy laid down in directives, neither the state nor individual can violate any existing law or legal right under the color of following a directive, unquote. Quoting from the article of Professor Obilade, a professor of great learning, the learned jurist continued, and I quote, "In the light of the above, I reject the argument of learned senior advocate for the appellant that the provisions of Chapter 2 are not justiciable in virtue of Section 6, Sub 6, Sub C of the Constitution. I accept the argument of learned assistant director for the respondent that the provisions could be justiciable," and unquote. Fellow citizens, where lies the duty of the politicians under our Constitution to serve the people and the penalty of not discharging the obligations to the citizens? Fellow citizens, I'm humbled to say respectfully that my contention is that Section 224 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, which stated thus, and I quote, "The program as well as the aim and object of the political party shall conform with the provisions of Chapter 2 of this Constitution." unquote. This clumsy recommendation in our constitution, to my humble mind, I submit, is a fault line. In our constitution, why the politicians are behaving irresponsibly and not serving the citizens but themselves. Fellow citizens, I shall charge you all not to relent in our duty to find out what our duties are, and if there is also a corresponding duty in our constitution for our political leaders who fail to discharge duties other than removing them from office. There is no burden responsibility cast on our elected representatives not to fail and the consequences of their failure. That is one thing that is not in our constitution. The constitution has been able to cast upon us responsibilities to the state, but left vaguely the duty of our elected representatives to make sure that they deliver and what shall be the penalty and consequences for not delivering. It is not going only to be a recall system. There has to be a justiciable right that if a man who decides to swear to the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to deliver goods and services to us fails in doing so, there must be a punishment. And part of the punishment will be an issue of felony for undermining the Constitution. Fellow citizens, I will now call the members of this court to make contribution. Chizoba, do you have anything to say before we now proceed further?
What I want to say is that since the politicians, remember the last discussion we had where you give your explanations, you said that in section 69 and 1110 of the 1999 Constitution as amended, that we have the right to recall members that are not doing what they are supposed to do. Now today, I want to really say, apart from the recalling, you now say something that there have to be a judgment.
No, there has to be sanctions.
Okay, sanctions of felony.
For those who fail to deliver,
Okay.
other than just recall, because
Okay.
it's a child's play, just recalling him. He has wasted our mandate, he has spent our money, he has
Okay.
deceived the people,
Okay.
and it's a treasonable felony.
Okay, that's what I wanted to get clear from what
Okay,
you
that's
said.
a good So,
Okay.
sir,
I would also like let me say this. Also from the section 2 of the Constitution, there's a part here that says the state shall foster a feeling of belonging and of involvement among the various people of the federation, to the end that loyalty to the nation shall override sectional loyalties.
this is a great point, and let me see where you flew from here.
I saw that and I decided I would first of all like to ask, if the politicians that we're talking about, if they understand their roles as politicians, first of all, if they understand their roles as office holders, as political office holders, if they even understand their roles as senior citizens of Nigeria, if they may be. Most of the politicians that I feel that we have these days in Nigeria are there not for the same reasons that we expect them to be there for. Unity and faith, peace and progress. I don't think most of Nigerian politicians have this in mind when going to take political positions. Most of them go there either for the good of their people or for the good of themselves, or to help a political party to hold a particular position, so they don't lose it to the other party, and I feel that these are just trivial reasons for holding political positions. If there's a part of the Constitution that tells us, okay, you've spent 2 years in this position, you've not been able to do anything with it, we have not seen anything that, in any way that you've been useful to the Nigerian populace, we have not seen any way that you have been loyal to the nation and not to yourself, and you can be sanctioned. I think it's something that would create, a better Nigeria.
The point you have mentioned about loyalty being paramount to the
To
nation,
the nation.
that shows you, with all the fragmentation of associations that are now clowning and showing you that you have to belong to their group,
Yes.
I think is another constitutional violation. So that's why I'm now saying that we need, because that a man have squandered our mandate and will go to office and will not perform or will underperform. Recalling system is not sufficient deterrent. There need to be, because under the Constitution, in Section 17, more particularly from Section 13 to 32, there are duties, there are rights that need to be ventilated. But our lawyers, some of them are so lazy and they tell you that is not justiciable. That is a blanket, not true position of the law. That is why I wanted to show what the learned jurist Nikki Toby has said. Because any item under the list of items that government can make law on that are not being delivered to the people could be an issue that the citizens can demand their right with the plank of this decision by the Apex Court in Nigeria. I want to use this singular opportunity of the People's Court to condemn the politicians, both the APC and the PDP in Ekiti State, particularly the people who are supposed to be respondents in that action that was being had in the court. The judicial system of Nigeria should be shut down until there is a guarantee given to our judges that they will not be attacked for defending the Constitution. Fellow citizens, on this note, the People's Court will rise.